Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Star vs. the Forces of Evil review. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Season 3, Episode 22 and 23, Nightlife and Deep Dive. Honestly, these are both fine episodes. There are some interesting ideas, some characters I really like, Jana and Hakapu, so yeah, I'm overall pretty positive on these ones. But let's get started, because Nightlife, the first thing I'm going to say is I was disappointed. It starts off, we see Hekapu and Marco working together, riding the dragon cycle. But Marco's all grown up, and it just reminded me how much of a fucking disappointment Running with Scissors ended up being. How it was such a good episode, but then they just let it down, and this one shows it. God, it was what they did with Running and Scissors was such a letdown, and this just reminded me of it. So it didn't start off in my good graces, but we find out that basically every night Marco and Hekapu have been going out on these crazy adventures. Right, they're sealing portals because portals keep opening up all around the multiverse, right, or whatever the hell they call it. But so Marco's been going out, but Star is kind of like, hey, you're my squire, you're supposed to be helping. So he agrees to watch Glossaric the next day, and he does for a little bit. But he eventually abandons her and goes out and works with Hakapu. There's this cat world that's flooding. And they save it, right? Marco's still kind of a badass on his dragon cycle. So they save Cat World. It's not just Cat World, though. It's Cat World with human faces, which is really fucking weird. And Hekapu's still trying to give him a bald spot, right? Well, he's got the bald spot, but he's trying to make him bald, which is funny. So he goes back to Star, and Star sees the bald spot, and he's like, oh, you were spending time with Hekapu. You double-crossed me, you son of a bitch. She doesn't actually say that, but you get the gist. So now so Marco's like, okay, fine. I'll watch him, right? But then Star disappears down the portals that night. So Marco goes to find Hekapu. And we get Talon, Raven Talon. I think that's what they called him. This like bounty hunter guy who's generic as hell. He's also a Dragon Cycle rider. He's a bounty hunter. He just exists to be kind of a pain in your side, right? The antagonist-y thing. Because Hekapu has finally figured out where all the portals are coming from. She has this map. And they go to confront the source, and the source is Star. Because, Star is jumping through all sorts of dimensions. And now they finally know, right, where she's going. So they almost harpoon her, but they don't. And Marco says, I'll take care of this, because nobody else knows. So Hekapu's like, okay, fine, but we need to stop hanging out if you're going to do this. So it breaks up their friendship, right? There's a shipping joke in here, but I'm not going to make it. So yes, Marco that night reveals that, yeah, no, you're the one who's been creating all these portal problems. But don't worry, I'll keep you safe, right? It's interesting, and yeah, it's a fine episode. Seeing Marco and Hekapu, they play off of each other great, like they did in Running of Scissors, so there's a lot of fun here. It is kind of sad to see their adventures break up in the end, but hey, maybe they'll reconcile later on down the line, who knows? It's interesting, right? And this is a fine episode. The bounty hunter guy I could give less of a shit about, and he's really fucking annoying, but... Our next episode, though, is Deep Dive. And Jana's back, yay! I'm glad they aren't throwing her out, because she's my favorite character. She's so funny, and because she just hypnotizes Marco, so that whenever, I can't remember the saying, but whenever she says it, he just falls asleep. That's really fucking funny. She's so great. I was worried that since Marco was coming to Muni, they weren't going to use her. Nope, here they are using her. And she's still great. She still is. But this is actually a direct continuation of the previous episode. Because Star wants to... now that they have this map, Star wants to figure out where she's going. So Jana hypnotizes her with a camera. And now she's just jumping through dimensions, right? Portaling wherever she goes. Marco's paranoid, but Jana just sends her to sleep, or sends him to sleep. Theories. But eventually Star ends up in this really large portal, and when she goes into it, I'm like, this kind of reminds me of the deep dive from the Toffee. And sure enough, it is basically the deep dive, because she's now in this realm of magic, inside of her wand. She beats that unicorn she pulled out at the end of Toffee. Well, near the end of Toffee. So yeah, that's interesting. And she kind of gets like obsessed with this world. Like she wants to just stay there. Right? Because it takes all of her worries away. In the realm of magic, even though it's the realm of magic, there's something calling her there, but there's also something sinister there as well. Or at least that's the vibe you get, because something is off. Because Star doesn't even remember her own name. But Marco is really worried about her. So eventually he takes Star's wand and it transforms for him. Which, I've always wondered if it could do that. Because back in the first season we had lobster claws, or whatever the hell that episode was, where the lobster guy took the wand and it transformed for him. So I always wondered what would happen if Marco took the wand. And sure enough, it transforms, and I'm assuming it's supposed to be like this cool design, which it kind of is, but it also feels evil, which is very interesting. It drives me back to the idea that when Marco read Eclipse's chapter and it kind of turned him evil, which at the time kind of felt like a one-off joke. But now that we see this wand design, I'm kind of wondering if it means something greater. But he's able to use the all-seeing eye, and he has like marks like Star does, like, the club, the heart, the spade, the diamond. But his is like a crescent moon, which is interesting. And he's able to use the all-seeing eye to see Star, talk to her, but when he goes and touches, it blows up. So Star transforms back into her butterfly form, because she can create portals in that form, so she jumps back to them. They tell her not to go, which is interesting. Again, there's something wrong there. But basically when Marco touched the all-seeing eye, it exploded. But they're all safe, and Star gets mad about him taking the wand, but it turns back the second she touches it. And now she can transform into her butterfly form whenever she wants, which is an interesting development. I'm glad they spent the entire 2 episodes focusing on this instead of just doing one and then waiting an episode and doing it again. Right, like the show normally likes to do. Christ, they did when they set up this arc. Which, this isn't the last we've seen of this, however. Because there's still in the realm of magic, there's still something wrong. And it is interesting. The whole framing for the realm of magic just is unsettling. And so these are both fine episodes. I really liked them. I like Hekapu, I like Jana, and there's some interesting developments going on. And I'm happy to see where it goes from here. Next time we got the final episode of this arc, and oh, is it interesting. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.